Hello and welcome back to the channel for another installment in the Scenic series, where we look at a single scene from various different films and discuss the scene in a bit of detail. Today we're actually looking at a short scene from, of all things, Star Trek Generations. The scene we're looking at comes near the start of the film. As it begins, we know that Patrick Stewart's Captain Picard has learnt some family news from home, which has clearly upset him. But up to this point, we don't know the details of what exactly this news is. As the scene unfolds, we learn that his brother and nephew have died in a fire, and it means that the Picard family line has been broken, with the captain having no children of his own. It's a development that ties into the film's overall themes of legacy and regret, as well as Picard's character arc through the film. There are a couple of key things that make the scene really stand out and mark the film as a step up from the television origins of the material. The first of these is Patrick Stewart's performance. He is excellent here, portraying a man who is trying to initially hold his emotions in because he feels that is what is appropriate, but who, once encouraged to open up, reveals the depths of his grief. After Troy encourages him to open up as he tries to brush off his grief, there is a wordless moment where we focus on Picard's face as he struggles to find the words that he needs. At first, Stewart plays it with almost a smile on his face, as Picard recalls fond memories of his brother and nephew, before this then cracks, giving way to Picard beginning to cry, before he again composes himself and puts back up his emotional guard. But throughout, he retains a vulnerable quality, even when he expresses almost an anger that because he thought the family would go on, he never worried about having a family of his own. And where I think many would have played these moments in a very still manner, Stewart actually brings a restlessness to it. His hands jitter as he speaks, and he rises from his seat and begins to pace as he speaks, conveying that sense of a mind racing, trying to process what has happened. The fact that it all comes across as such a natural feeling reaction for a character that, through 7 years of television, we've never really seen being this emotionally open is remarkable. The other element I want to talk about here is the lighting of the scene. The attention to this detail is definitely far above what you'd see on a typical TV episode of The Next Generation. As the scene opens, we're looking at a photo album of Picard's family, and there is a red glare across the photos of the captain's nephew and brother, almost flame-like. Moving out from the album, we can see that the whole room is bathed in a warm red glow. Narratively, this is from the nearby sun the ship is orbiting, but here it calls to mind the light given off by a large fire, the captain sitting wordlessly surrounded by it. The sombre atmosphere of the scene is apparent as Troy enters, and we see heavy shadows falling across the room. It's a striking contrast from the bright lighting seen in the rest of the film, until again we reach scenes of Picard contemplating his legacy. Later, Picard himself is cloaked by the shadow as he begins to talk about his family coming to an end, a lineage heading into the dark. Then, as the scene draws to a close, the room is bathed in a bright white light as the sun outside goes supernova. The immediacy of current events crashing back into the minds of the characters, but also representing the spectre of the fire being vanquished as Picard begins to deal with his grief. So there we have it, a small, quiet scene in a big budget film version of a television franchise. But it demonstrates how well details can be used to really reinforce the emotion of a story, and how it's often the smaller moments that work to build a set of themes within a film. It's the difference not only the budget, but also the time available on a film can make when compared to the often relentless pace of TV production on budgets being squeezed as far as possible. Let me know your thoughts on the scene below in the comments, along with any suggestions of scenes you want me to take a look at in the future. And I'll see you next time.